Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Success Leaves Clues and Stories of Everyday People. And today I have the very special pleasure of welcoming my guest, Gayle Johnson, all the way from St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, the most easterly point in North America. And Gayle has a really interesting story to share with us. But before we dive in there, I just want to give full disclosure. Gayle happens to be my sister. And I'm daughter number one. She's daughter number two out of 5 siblings. But I can tell you that she's certainly not number 2 in terms of how she's shown up in her life and her amazing accomplishments along the way. So Gayle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tina. Pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So Gayle, do you want to give our viewers a little bit of an idea of your background and what you're up to? And then we'll dive into some questions that I think will be interesting for our viewers.
Absolutely, no problem. Well, back in the day in 1964, it was a snowy day. I'm not going to go back that far, but yeah, 1964, the year I was born, so that makes me 59. I should be having a crisis right now, I would suspect, because my next birthday is going to be another big one. I believe you've already hit that one, but we won't go into that. We'll wait. Born and raised on the west coast of this province, been a Newfoundlander all my life. I'm proud of it. No intentions of going anywhere. And you can probably tell by how fast I'm speaking and my accent, but we'll have subtitles at the end of it probably if you need it. And Tina and I discussed what we were going to, what theme she was interested in pursuing. And I thought, well, that's quite an interesting comment. I didn't think what I did was all that remarkable. It was something I had to do and I just did it. So we can probably discuss that a little bit later. But I had 4 children. 40, I believe, was my last one. I lost track now. I've had that many. But and of course, with motherhood and with working with busy lives came the inevitable weight gain. I absolutely ballooned 100 pounds more than I am right now currently. And I started to hit that real midlife crisis back then because I was out of shape and I wasn't very healthy. I was around 49 years old and I said, and it was this time of the year, believe it or not, it was one of those New Year's resolutions that actually came to fruition. I said to myself, Gayle, in 1 year, where are you going to be if you don't do something now? And believe it or not, probably about the 8th or 9th of January of that year, I started, and I was totally regimented. Like I said, I ended up losing 100 pounds. I did that by August, maybe of that year, because that's how disciplined I was and that's how bad I wanted it. So I ended up losing that weight and started feeling really good about myself. And of course, I said I was going to a lot of gyms. I was doing private training. I was doing whatever it took. And I was dipping my toes in a lot of ponds just to see what I liked. And so I was getting quite familiar with regimes and exercise workouts and things like that. So I said, something? I can do this. I can teach this. So that's exactly what I did. I rooted out the garbage in my basement and put up some tarps in the interim, bought a few secondhand weights off of Facebook Marketplace and invited friends over, and eventually, voila, here we are, a full feature gym, and proud to say now I'm a gym owner, a private fitness studio owner and trainer and powerlifting coach, and so on and so forth. So that's why when I say I'm not afraid of 60, I'm not afraid of 60. Okay. So that's my intro anyway. We probably ended that because I just told you the whole story. But there you have it.
It's like you're giving away the thunder there. You're giving away the punchline. Right. But a couple of questions, and actually a few things I want to underline. Gayle, you're being very modest because you have done some extraordinary things with your chosen activity, which is powerlifting, is that you have broken most Canadian records at powerlifting competitions in Canada for your age group. right? And you've done extremely well in some international competitions as well as the Commonwealth Games. And how far did you go in the Commonwealth Games?
Won gold at the Commonwealth Games. Actually, I was fortunate that it was being hosted here in Canada. So in my hometown, as a matter of fact, in St. John. So Commonwealth, of course, is Australia, New Zealand, England, basically the British Commonwealth. That's the competitors in that one. And yeah, I competed internationally down in the States and ended up winning a gold in squat and silver overall down there back in 2016, 2017 year, I do believe. So yeah, it's been interesting. So that's one of the beautiful things actually about being overweight is you're strong. So that if anything positive came out of being overweight all those years, it was that because you have to carry around so much weight. Interestingly enough, your muscles strengthen naturally. So once you just get rid of the fat, you're starting out with a good base for strength sports anyway. And that's why weightlifting is always so positive for people who are morbidly obese. Little tidbit of information.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that. Wow,
Absolutely.
that should be a real encouragement for people who are looking to lose weight in the new year. And
Absolutely.
we're just about to start a new year. So amazing. No, I had no idea. Okay, and Gayle, not only have you done extremely well on your own in competition, now you're coaching, you have your gym, and a shout out to Get Wasted, St. John's, Newfoundland. And let's see your t-shirt, Gayle.
Shameless self-promotion.
That's pretty awesome, and that's an amazing name. By the way, where did you get the name? Did it just kind of come to you or somebody suggested
Want to
it?
know something really weird? There's a good story behind that name. I don't know if I've ever told somebody, but years and years ago, I was also a heavy smoker, and I gave that up quite a few years ago as well. And we were outside having a smoke at a previous job I worked in, and I was telling people that I was interested in dabbling in this and so on. And they knew my background because I was a bit of a ticket when I was younger too. So I was more in the habit of getting wasted as opposed to going to the gym kind of thing when we were younger. So my friends knew me well, and they said, how ironic, Gayle, if you started a gym called Get Wasted, and with the different spelling, of course, WAISTED. And lo and behold, here it is. And people
Wow.
love the name, so kind of fits.
Yeah, it totally does. And people don't forget it, right? They really don't
No,
forget.
absolutely not. Yeah.
And simultaneous translation for the adjective ticket, and to be a ticket, to be a bit of a character. And they
Exactly.
loving their fun.
That's where the subtitles come in.
So I was about to say that, Gayle, not only have you done extremely well on the provincial, national, and international stage, but now you're helping people who are, on themselves a path of getting in shape and pursuing a path in fitness and powerlifting. And I think you were at a competition recently in Nova Scotia, right? And you guys you've been doing really well consistently over the last few years, right? With your people.
Yeah, I did. I took a team with me to the event actually was in Prince Edward Island, and that was the Eastern Canadians. So three of us went up there, and gold, silver, and bronze for the three of us. We competed back in the fall, I do believe. So next one is in March, and thank goodness it's going to be hosted here in St. John's, Newfoundland, so we don't have to travel for that. So and then we got to go back to PEI again for nationals in the fall. So there's a bit of a schedule for sure.
Okay. Awesome. So, Gayle, I think people would be really interested in how someone who is overweight by more than 100 pounds, as you said, was able to get that weight off within a year, I believe. I think it was even before your birthday, wasn't it? Because
It was, yeah.
Yeah, you made the resolution in January that you wanted to lose that weight and get in shape. Your birthday is September 24th. So by September 24th, you had lost 100 pounds altogether?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you do that?
Not as hard as it sounds, believe it or not. One, because I wasn't a yo-yo dieter. So my metabolism was still pretty fired up. Your metabolism gets fired up when you eat a lot. So that's a big bonus you have when you're overweight, because chances are you're overweight because you eat a lot. So your metabolism is probably at its peak at that point in time, which is a great time to start losing weight.
Oh,
But the secret is you can't yo-yo. So you can't start and stop, start, stop, start, stop, because every time you decline and start eating sensibly, your metabolism lowers naturally. That's just your body
oh,
saying
wow.
you don't need. So if your metabolism lowers and then you start eating again, the next bunch of food that you put in your mouth is going to make you gain more weight back. That's why people say, went on a diet, lost 20 pounds, went off the diet, gained 30, right? So you have to be consistent, and it's a lifestyle change. It is not a diet. You can never go back. That life is gone. You will never see that again. You can never see it again. If you do, you're going to gain all that weight back and then some, because you're going to naturally slow your metabolism if you eat less food. And you know something? If you're overweight, you're eating too much food.
Right.
There, don't give me hormones. Don't give me my blood type. Don't give me big bones. Don't talk to me about it, because it's bullshit. Okay? You are overweight because you're eating too much food. That's the bottom line. Whether you're hormonal, you have a thyroid issue, PCOS, it really doesn't matter. Calories in and calories out. So if you're taking in too many calories, you're going to put on weight. With PCOS, it's an interesting scenario because you honestly cannot lose the weight. And I understand that, but you put it on to start with, and that was calories. Okay.
Right.
If you were a low calorie eater and you develop PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is very hard for women. I'll digress about that, but you've eaten too much pre-PCOS, and that's the reason you're overweight. You've still had too many calories, and unfortunately, it's extremely difficult to get that weight off. But that's an exception, not the rule. Everybody else, you're good to go. So all you need to do is be consistent. I never faltered. I had my daily caloric intake, and I never went a calorie above that ever. I don't care what you say about life happens. Life does happen. But the only way you're going to be successful is if your lifestyle is syncing with your life. So I'll give you just a good example. In June or July, I had to go on a trip to California. And shit, you're going on a nice trip, you're going on a vacay, and what's the first thing you think about usually is just give me all the food. At least that's what I thought about as an overweight person is, geez, give me all that great food down there. And but I stuck to my guns down there, and in actual fact, I had a great time. The memories are still there, the photos are still there, the people I met are still there. I still have those memories. What I didn't have was a 10-pound weight gain when I got home. I actually lost 5 pounds on that trip.
Wow.
Because I ate very well down there. And of course, down in California, there's an abundance of fresh fruit and vegetables. It's much nicer than the frozen shit that we got to eat here in the summertime, right?
Yeah.
Or in the winter. So I ended up not breaking my determination, I guess, for the lack of a better term, to get to that end goal of where I wanted to be. So it didn't matter what was going on in my life at that time. I did not deviate from the plan I had created for myself. So nutrition is everything. I mean, nutrition was 90% of how I did what I did. The other 20%, of course, was the exercise, and I hated every second of it. I had to do cardio because I had a lot of fat and a lot of calories. I was burning calories, and cardio is burning calories. Cardio is not burning fat.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not getting rid of any fat by burning calories. I'm doing that through my nutrition.
Got it.
I'm also doing it by lifting weights. So I started out with a TV hooked on the wall and stood on a treadmill. And every time the news came on, and the news comes on 5 days a week, so there's no excuse, right? I went downstairs, and boy, I hated every second of it, let me tell you. I started out, I watched the news on the treadmill. So that was 5 days a week.
Oh, it's a great
And
idea. You anchored
days-
it. You anchored the habit with something that you were doing every day.
Absolutely. That was a
Anchored.
habit I already had.
Right.
So let's just add
Great
something.
idea. Yeah.
But I usually laid down on the couch to watch my news, didn't I? So changed that. So that's exactly what it became. And in that length of time, it was certainly more than a habit. It became a way of life more than anything else. And then on the weekends, I incorporated, I went to Facebook Marketplace and found an all-in-one lifty thingy. I don't even know what it was now, and started lifting weights with that. And that's where I got my strength training too. And now that I've lost the weight, I've moved more. I don't do cardio anymore. I'll do mostly strength training and HIIT type training and so on and so forth. You get plenty of cardio for that. So that's how I transitioned, but it became then it's my lifestyle, you know, and it's something that I do even when I don't want to do it. And because I know what replaces that, and nothing good will replace that, let me tell you, when I stop. So for that reason, while I'm able, and I don't know how long that's going to be, but while I'm able, I'm not going to stop. And that's what everybody needs to do. While you're able, you need to go.
Okay. Gayle, what I find really interesting is your anchoring of your habit. And would you say that's what kept you going when you, like you said, you hated it, you didn't feel like it. And that probably describes a lot of people. We start off, we're so gung-ho at a certain time, like at the beginning of the year, and then we fall off. So
Yeah.
was there anything else that you were thinking or doing that was helping with your motivation? Or was it just simply anchoring that cardio, for example, with the news? Was there anything else?
Well, you know something, when you do that, when you start something that drastic, and for somebody who's morbidly obese, just those two things. So not only did my lifestyle change a little bit in that I started doing my cardio, but you've also got to remember that there was diet going along with that, right? So that became a little bit of a challenge, and I kind of embraced that challenge to hit, because I was hitting 1,200 calories a day, and really for someone my size, that's all I needed.
Right.
So I know you hear the term 1,200 calories and oh my God, you're going to die because you're not eating any food. But I'm only 5 foot tall, folks, and I was almost 50 years old. Don't need much more food than that, to be perfectly honest with you. Even to maintain, I don't need much more food than that. So that became a game to me, as to try to manipulate my meals so that I could hit that number. That was such a sense of accomplishment every day. I mean, it's the small wins and the small goals kind of thing, right? But that coupled with that became a game, that became my habit. But what happened, then the magic happened really quickly though, because the weight came off, right? And the weight came off really quickly.
So that was reinforcing, right? As you were seeing
Yeah,
that
I'm
happening.
talking 5-6 pounds a week right at the beginning. So when you're seeing that kind of weight loss, when you're stepping on the scale, let me tell you, there's nothing more motivating than that. There is nothing, right? So those two little things, and they weren't huge changes. I mean, that was an hour of my day. There's 23 other hours I could do my shit, right?
Yeah.
So I just took an hour of my day. I didn't go 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, and I didn't even join a gym. I just went down to my basement and had my treadmill down there that for years I've been hanging clothes on. So I dusted that off, and cost me nothing.
Yeah.
It really, and you can even do it without a treadmill, because honestly, sometimes when I do cardio, I don't like running outside because I find the pavement hard where I'm older, and I've got foam mats here in the gym. I run circles in the gym.
Okay.
Same thing, right? I'm not doing it for entertainment. So I don't care about the scenery. I'll turn on some music or so on and so forth, but you just got to get it done. Really what the bottom line is, right?
Okay,
So
Gail, I'm just taking a couple of notes right here, like what I'm seeing, because people like formulas, you know what I mean? And I really want to give our audience some really concrete things that they can walk away from. What I see
yeah,
is that number one, you made a serious decision that you were committed to, that
right.
you were going to not only lose the weight, you're going to get in shape. Little did you know that there would be amazing side effects like this. It would be become a lifestyle for you, and that you
Right.
would actually excel in one particular sport, being powerlifting. Okay, so you made that decision, you acted on it, you got yourself organized, right? You dusted off, like you said, you already had the treadmill, you made sure that that was set up right in front of your TV, and you knew
Yeah,
you had this program that you're watching every day, so you did that.
yeah.
And yeah, anchoring it with that habit was important. Did you get the help of a nutritionist or any kind of organization to help you with with your diet?
I did none of it.
Okay.
Until I started losing weight. Yes, I won't say I didn't, but for once a week, a couple of weeks after I started on my own, I hired a personal trainer. And what I would do is one day a week after work, I would leave work actually 10 minutes early so I could get to her place by the time I'd leave work 20 after 4 so I could get to her place for 4:30. So I could have my 5:30 hour personal training, and then I could get my ass home in time to run on the treadmill because the news was coming on at 6.
Okay.
You
Got
see?
it.
So I had a method to my madness. So she introduced me, not, I didn't get a lot of nutritional advice out of her. I got some, in that you've also got to realize that I had a background in fitness when I was much younger as well.
Yes.
And I was doing phys ed at Mon, and I had a lot of more knowledge probably than the average Joe Blow. So
Right.
a lot of it I could do on my own, but she introduced me to the sports of weightlifting more than anything else, and had to do a routine and make it effective and so on. So that's your dumbbells and your kettlebells and barbells and things of that nature. So that's why I enjoy the strength part of it. I kind of got it from her. But the biggest piece I got from her too was accountability, right? So we weighed in every week at her place.
Okay.
That made me accountable to someone aside from myself.
Hmm.
And I think that helped tremendously because I almost didn't want to let her down either. You know what I mean? Even though she was nice about it, she was a nice lady and so on. I don't think she would have said anything to me, but you didn't want to let that person down because they were developing programs for you and they were working with you and so on and so forth. And you almost feel compelled to do what you're told. So, and that's not like me. If you know me at all, I'm not compelled to do what I'm told at all. But anyway, talk mom that. Um, there you have it.
Well, maybe if she started charging you for certain things, it would make a
Something maybe. Well, that's it. I'm a tight little son of a gun too. So if I'm paying that kind of money, I
Right.
wasn't being a minute late. I was not going to be a minute late. And by gosh, she was going to give me 60 minutes, not 55 minutes. She was going to give me 60 minutes.
Right.
And I was not missing. I mean, back then it was, I don't know, $60 an hour or whatever she charged, something like that, right? And I was getting my $60 worth of it. Like, you don't care, right? So, hey, something? Best investment you'll ever make. If you're ever thinking about starting a regime, just find someone you trust, find someone you can relate to, find someone that's going to give you that little bit of accountability,
Right.
and you'll do amazing. And I let her go then after I felt comfortable enough that I thought I could go to a gym by myself. That's when I stopped the personal training and I just joined a fitness class then because I could keep up with everybody else by then, so it didn't really matter, right? So that's kind of how my journey went with
Okay.
the
And it had a side benefit as well because you were changing how the food you were buying, the type of food you were preparing. So your husband, Daryl, lost a lot of weight as well, right? And it had nutrition. Your kids weren't overweight to begin, with, but it's the nutritional benefits and plus the role model,
Oh,
right?
absolutely, absolutely, no doubt. I mean, my husband lost over 60 pounds just by default. He did nothing. He didn't even know what was happening until he put a pair of pants on one day and said, holy shit, look what happened. Right? And oddly enough, and my children, you know, like pop and Pepsi and stuff like that, cookies, none of that's in the house, and they've never been exposed to it now, so they don't ask for it. There's chips up there now from Christmas, and they couldn't be bothered with it. They'll come and fill up their water bottle because that's what they've done all their lives, right? So there's certainly added benefits to doing that, no doubt, no doubt. And the whole thing's much better off because of it.
Yeah, and that's going to trickle down to their children and friends and, you know, husbands and wives and all that. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
one person, and just with your lifestyle change, how many people you've impacted, not just your family, but certainly your clients and your friends and people that come
Yeah.
to your gym. Now, any last advice, Gayle, before we sign off, for anybody, particularly women, it could be men or women, but particularly women that are feeling, oh my God, is it, you know, I'm 50, I'm 60, maybe it's a bit too late. It seems so hard. Like, how do I get started? I really want to do better with my body and my nutrition, but how do I get started? How do I stick with it? Any advice?
Well, you know something, there's a big difference, I think, between I can't and I won't. You know, you can, you just won't. So keep that in mind. And like I said, my best advice, listen, reach out to somebody, throw your ideas off of somebody that's going to motivate you, not somebody who's going to drag you down with them, if that's the type of relationship that you have. So reach out to a personal trainer, or reach out to a nutritionist or a dietitian or a family member or friend that is living that lifestyle, and get some advice as to where to start from there, because they could probably introduce you to a source or a person that ultimately could be life-changing for you. If you don't feel like you have the skills, most of us have the skills,
Right.
To be perfectly honest with you. We just don't have the motivation, and we don't have what's called discipline, because let me tell you, you do need discipline to reach the end. You know, there's certainly a lot of things you're going to change about your lifestyle that you'll have for the rest of your life, but still you have some of those days that are just going to suck. And the only thing that's going to get you through is going to be discipline, for sure. But reach out, and, you know, I'll throw it out there. Listen, you know how to touch base with me if somebody wants to chat, and if I can find some sources for people, I absolutely would do that for you on the house. Don't worry about that. And depending on what part of the world you're in, what area, and so on and so forth, I might be able to give you a little bit of unsolicited advice, so to speak.
Okay. That would be awesome. That's really generous of you, Gayle. And how can people find you?
Info@getwasted.ca. Getwasted.ca is my website. At Get Wasted Fitness on Insta, which apparently just posts all my Facebook family stuff, but that's okay too. But not hard to find. Getwasted.ca. Great website there. It'll tell you everything you need to know.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much, Gayle. You've dropped some really great advice, and you're a tremendous role model. And as a family member, we're super proud of you, and continue to be. So thanks again, and thanks to our listeners and viewers, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.